Hey guys, welcome to Nurselings Plus. Today we're going to talk a little bit about recognizing intimate partner violence, or as it's more commonly called, domestic violence. Alright, this video today is by no means all-encompassing. In fact, it's more just kind of to introduce the idea, provide some information on healthy and unhealthy behaviors that can show in a relationship, and provide you with tips on what to do if you decide that you've found yourself in one of those relationships. Today we're going to go over a few things. We're going to go over the different types of abuse. We're going to go over the cycle of violence. We're going to touch a few of the common warning signs of domestic violence. What to do if you're in an unhealthy or an abusive relationship. And then a few of the many services that are available. So the type of abuse that usually springs to mind when talking about domestic violence is obviously physical violence. Alright? I'm going to play a short clip from a Lifetime movie trailer. And I want you to see how many different types of violence you can actually pick out of it. Okay?
All I want is to be with you.
I want to be your only, ever.
Hey, you're not gonna wear that shirt to Amy's house tonight, are you?
Why not?
Because that's way too tight.
You've been going out with him for what, 6 weeks now, and you're letting him tell you what to wear?
No. Come on. Not at the table. Give me the phone.
I'm just letting Mark know what time he can pick me up.
Hand it over.
You know what? I'm so tired of you ragging on Mark.
I'm trying to help you.
No, you're not. You're just jealous that I have somebody who loves me and you don't.
I don't want the two of you to see each other for 2 weeks. That includes phone calls. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Why are you suddenly acting all weird?
I'm just being a guy.
Next time, I'll cause a distraction. You just make a run for it.
Mark!
I saw you! I know you're into him. I know that smile that you get.
Just listen to me, please. Please.
I'd like to call the police, but Elizabeth is denying she was hit. She's insisting she tripped. I fell.
He hit you!
You don't understand, okay? It was my fault.
You get that thought out of your head. Do you hear me?
Why do you have a gun?
Because I'm gonna kill you. And then I'm gonna kill myself.
So in that clip, I could pick out at least 3 types of abuse. Alright? There was obviously the physical whenever he hit her whenever they were in the car. And there was also the verbal and emotional abuse throughout it, where he was controlling what she was wearing, he had extreme jealousy, and then whenever he was threatening to kill himself and her, that's all types of verbal and emotional abuse. Okay? And then as well, there was hints of digital abuse in there whenever she was sitting at the table and her father doesn't want her to text, but she feels like she has to text. And you can see on her face that she feels like she's going to get in trouble if she's not responding to his text message. So this next clip should be a little bit easier to be able to pick out the different types of abuse. It's a clip from the Jersey Shore. If you've ever even heard of the show before, you know that it's an extremely explosive kind of reality TV series. I'm just going to go to the clip, that way you guys can take a look at it and then see if you can find anything other than the obvious of the screaming and the punching and things like that.
Brian and Sam are fighting.
You and believe whoever the you want. I'm done with it.
Are you friends with her, yes or no?
Hey, we're going to Ryder's birthday.
I don't give a
Like, they're talking about relationships. My sneakers are dirty.
Stop! You psycho! You don't deserve it!
I got girls cooking me dinner. I've been with you for a year. How many times you cooked for me? None, you useless spoiled
So
bitch.
in both of those clips, we were able to easily identify physical abuse. Generally because of the wild swinging for throwing punches or shoving, things like that. But physical abuse can also be very subtle. What I mean by that can be something as simple as forcing you to hold their hand or squeezing your hand as a matter of to try and control you. The point of it is that no matter how big or small the physical abuse is, it's still actually abuse. If they're doing something to intentionally try and harm you, then that is considered abuse. So one type of abuse that I didn't cover in any of the videos, and I just chose not to select any videos that had any of it in it, was sexual abuse. Sexual abuse can include many things. They can include kissing or touching somebody whenever they don't want it, leaving unwanted hickeys or marks, scratches, things like that. You can, or pressuring someone to go further sexually, and of course rape. So some of the examples for like pressuring someone to go further sexually than what they're ready for is by them saying things like, "Oh, if you love me, you would do this," or "I know you've done this before, so what's the difference?" These also go in kind of the realm of emotional abuse as well, but ultimately, it doesn't really matter if you have or if you haven't done anything before, if you have or had not had sex, if you have or had not kissed anybody. The point is that if you are not ready for it at that time, then they should be able to respect that. And if they can't, they might be upset. That's not such a warning sign. What a warning sign is more if they get angry and they direct that anger towards you and start to try and manipulate you with it. So verbal and emotional abuse happen a lot, but it's not always quite as glaring as overt physical violence. Some things that include some verbal or emotional abuse is anything that basically tries to control you as a person. So if they're setting rules for you, saying who you can and can't hang out with, what you can and cannot wear, or if they're trying to make any decisions that purposefully isolate you from all of your friends and family. Verbal and emotional abuse can also take the form of like threats to hurt themselves or the partner by saying things like, "Oh, if you leave me, I'll kill myself," or, "If you ever leave me, I'll kill you, then myself." Things like that are definitely verbal and emotional abuse, just designed to control the person that they're with. So another commonly overlooked form of emotional and verbal abuse is jealousy. Now, it's completely natural to feel jealous from time to time, but it's important that if you do feel jealousy, you should resolve it with your partner by using healthy communication skills. Okay? Whenever I ask people about what they think of jealousy, a lot of times I get that they think it's a sign of love. So if you think about it, remember one time that you felt extremely jealous. What kind of feelings did you have? Was it an overwhelming sense of love for the person? Or was it more of a angry fear of loss, fear of loneliness, that sort of set of emotions that didn't really have anything to do with how you felt about your partner, but more of a reflection of how you were worried about feeling if you lost that partner. So if you're having trouble deciding whether a certain behavior that your partner is exhibiting or something that they did is an actual example of abuse or not, I got a couple good questions that you can ask yourself that might help clear it up. The first one is, what was the intent behind the behavior? Was it meant to hurt, control, or scare you? If it was, then you might be able to classify that as abuse. But if it was something that was meant to save or prevent you from harm, something like that, then it might not be. The next question is, how did their behavior make you feel? Did it make you feel bad? If it made you feel bad, did you feel comfortable talking to them about how it made you feel? If you'd answered no to both of those, then I would be a little concerned. The last type of abuse we're going to talk about today is digital abuse. With technology nowadays, pretty much everybody has their cell phone, which can access the internet and have Facebook, things like that, text messaging, email, and whatnot. Staying in touch with your partner isn't something that's necessarily bad, but once it gets into that realm of controlling what you're doing, constantly checking up on you, controlling your behavior, and if you're finding that you have to lie to your partner with where you are, who you're with, what's going on, that can be one of the big warning signs of it, especially if you fear their response once they find out if you are honest with them what you're doing. Additionally to that, it can interrupt family time. It can interrupt times whenever you're trying to do homework or study. It can also just interrupt your own alone time where you might just need to decompress and just be alone for a while. So things that we worry about with the digital abuse is if they constantly are trying to ask to check your cell phone. This can vary depending on what your own personal beliefs are with sharing passwords and how you want your privacy and boundaries set up. But if you're not comfortable with it, ultimately, I wouldn't make that concession. So on here, I just grabbed a few examples that I grabbed quickly off of Google of what digital abuse might actually look like. Some of these things you might think for yourself, you might not actually think for yourself, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is whenever it gets into that realm of making you uncomfortable again. So here we have a very simple diagram. It's called the cycle of violence. All right, the first phase is the tension building phase. This is whenever it doesn't matter what you do, it just seems to make your partner angry. They start blaming you for things. They argue over for no reason. That eventually leads into the second phase, which is the acute battering. That's whenever they actually hit you, they throw things at you, they scream, punch, kick. That's where the actual incident occurs. Right after that, they'll go into the honeymoon phase. That's where they start asking for forgiveness. They promise that they'll never do it again. They become the big sweet person that you fell in love with in the first place. And you believe it and you say, hey, they're never going to do that again. And then that slowly comes back around into the tension building phase. So what to do if you find yourself in an unhealthy or an abusive relationship? Generally, ending the relationship, whether it be abusive or just unhealthy, is one of the most difficult decisions to make and to come to. If a relationship has reached the abusive point, it's more likely to get much worse than it is to get better. Ending an abusive relationship safely and early is normally the best recommendation. Many times, people find it extremely difficult or hard to leave an abusive relationship. The most common reason for either not reporting it or just for not getting out was because they love the person and they didn't want them to get in trouble. They just wanted the abuse to stop. Well, with all of the research and everything that's known out there, it shows that the abuser is the one that needs to put forth the effort in order to stop. So, assuming that one member of the relationship actually decides that they want to break off this abusive relationship, should be that easy, right? Well, not always. Because in an abusive relationship, the other partner might not accept the breakup. They might just reject the boundaries, try to control them through guilt trips, threats, insults, physical violence or harm. A few tips to help deal with that would be, if you don't feel safe with the person or breaking up with the person in person, it might seem heartless or it might not seem kosher, but you can break up through email, call, text message. If you do decide that you want to break up with the person in person, have somebody there to support you, whether it be friends, family members, or teachers, anything like that. Make sure you bring a cell phone with you. Also, don't try and explain your reasons for ending the relationship more than once. They will try and talk you out of it, or they might just disregard the breakup entirely and become more angry the more you try and explain why you're breaking up with them. If you are afraid that your ex might come to your house, especially when you're not home, let family members, friends like that know that you're afraid that this might happen. If they do come to your house, especially when nobody's home and you're afraid, trust your gut instinct and do not answer the door. Don't even let them know that you're home. So, what kind of services are available if you feel like you are in an abusive relationship, but you're not quite sure, or you just want a little bit more information on it, either for yourself or for someone else? There's plenty of websites out there, many of which are designed that you can completely close out of the website at the single stroke of a key. Additionally, many of those websites are also designed so that they will not show up in your search or your history on your Internet Explorer. Additionally, there's many text lines that you can get, typical call center helplines, and then there's many shelters. A quick Google search will show you your area and how many that you have in your area. Well, thank you for watching my video. Hope you guys found it informative. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them down in the comment section. I'll try and respond to as many as I can. Thank you.